as hyped as Jaedong, and yet Impact was able to prevail in convincing fashion and go on to that grand final. Here again, Jaedong faces another Zerg, viOLet. viOLet, of course, a much more storied player, but ZVZ, that's all about Jaedong. So once again, we're kind of lined up to say, hey, is this Jaedong's tournament? Or will this be yet another monkey on his back? A tournament that he comes in, things are looking great, and then someone just puts him down. And viOLet, like I said, equally fighting for a great story here. He wants to win some stuff as well.
Yeah, great storylines behind both these two guys. Obviously, I think we have a lot of fans behind both these guys as well. I mean, Jaedong, one of the most popular players from Brood War. If you haven't heard of Jaedong, you probably don't watch StarCraft. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
In viOLet, he's gained his popularity in a bit of a different way. Rather than being a massive legend in Brood War, he's like a fantastic personality, and he's been learning a lot of English, and he's really been communicating a lot with his fans, which everyone loves. And to back it up, he's pretty freaking good at this game. So this is a very tasty treat of a semifinal here. ZVZ between viOLet and Jaedong. The first map is going to be Habitation Station. Of course, viOLet throwing out the nice manners. GLHF Dong Dude Heart. Jaedong responding with the GLHF and a heart of his own. But here we are in the top right-hand location. I proudly present your blue Zerg player. Make some noise for viOLet.
And his opponents in this semifinal, ZVZ best of 5 in the top left-hand side, the red Zerg, Evil Geniuses Jaedong. And I'm excited for this. We've seen some ZVZ. It was controversial, if you will, in the sense that the night before, Stefano makes it a long ZVZ against Betrayus. A lot of jokes were had. Next day, we have another 50-minute ZVZ, but that's hardly stealing the show. Stefano and Jaedong put on a show. It was a great ZVZ between the two of them. A lot of love there. And now viOLet. viOLet comes off his own fantastic quarterfinal match against Seed, one of the lone Protosses after Huck. I guess those two would comprise the two Protoss players in that top 8.
Yep.
And it was a nail-biter. It came down to kind of the final moments. And viOLet was able to, well, not final moments, that's not fair, but it went down to game 5, where viOLet did secure a pretty strong win in the end. But it was a long game. It went back and forth. So both these players have been tested and prevailed. Yeah,
we've had a myriad of fantastic matchups here. I think we've had, math. Why are you doing math right now? 5 matches today, and 4 of them have gone to 5 games.
Well, I'll take your word for it. That sounds about right.
I feel like it's right, but I reserve the right to be wrong. I'm gonna reserve
I've reserved that right, and I've taken
I've
liberty
noticed,
with it for a long time.
It's, you know.
Standard opening for both players. We do see that it's going to be Hatch first for the Blue Zerg, viOLet, and then, of course, Spawning Pool first for Jaedong. You've heard this many times before. These are different sides of the same coin. A slight advantage to viOLet, but very often that ends up just kind of fading away through the generic differences in the way they go from here.
No crazy reads we can make just yet. We can't predict the next 20 minutes of this game. Again, what we're looking out for in these early stages is, how much are they gonna attribute to the aggressiveness? And this is game 1 of a very important best of 5. So it's like, all right, are we gonna see one of them really try to pour on the pressure early and kind of sacrifice their economy, or are we going to see both of them kind of play a little bit passively, feel each other out a little bit, kind of, because this is the game that really sets the momentum, or sets the mood of the series, if you will.
Yeah, and to your point, it's actually very telling. I've seen Jaedong start a lot of series with a crazy opening, a 6-pool, a 10-pool, that kind of thing. But Habitation Station's a medium-sized map, very clear pathways for the Overlords that gain a lot of intel. So those kind of builds not so well suited for this first map. But that being said, Habitation Station has been very good to Jaedong. Again, dating back to even just last weekend, DreamHack Bucharest, we saw Jaedong play a few ZVZs here where he'd fall behind, but his understanding of the matchup, and basically with how medium-sized this map was, and his multitask and his army control, it really allows him to do what he's best at. So kind of going into this, one of my big question marks is when I look at viOLet, I think of a player who's very similar to Jaedong in that sense. Very good multitask, very powerful army control, and he tends to be aggressive. I know we've seen a lot of Swarmos this weekend, but hear me out. And there it is. I mean, that's a different form of aggression, but that's a very fast +1 range attack. A lot of times we see Carapace with that, so you have the option to do Ling Baneling to higher degrees of success, but here, he's already kind of showing that this could be a pre-layer Roach timing attack.
Yeah, a very interesting move here from viOLet. And of course, a big thing is going to be if Jaedong can scout this. You know, intel is going to be very important. He doesn't have an overload in that location. I guess theoretically he could have one up there, but it's going to be unseen for now. There's the Roach Warren. So the big thing we're going to look for is to see if Jaedong can spot this, because then he can start preparing for this. But viOLet definitely going to be investing quite a bit into some early aggression with Roaches.
You know, you say viOLet, and certainly is looking to do that, but we have 30 some odd Zerglings about to make their way across the map. And Jaedong is using his queens to push out the vision of viOLet. He's shoving the Overlord away. There is another Overlord beyond that, but it just barely doesn't have complete vision of that ramp. There is a chance that when Jaedong springs this, the earliest that viOLet will see it is at the Overlord just outside his base. Check the vision on that middle Overlord. Holy cow. I don't know that he saw it. I think he did. I think he just barely saw it.
I mean, he would have been making a bunch of roaches right when that Roach Warren finished anyway. So his build order is, I feel like, in a sense, kind of naturally countering what Jaedong is doing. So it's a little bit unlucky here for Jaedong, but, you know, these are slow links. He's going to target on the hatchery. The drone's actually going to be pulled, and they're going to attack. 10 roaches about to pop out. And again, they're slow links, so well, I'm wondering what Jaedong's going to decide to prioritize here.
I don't know. He's having a tough time. He should get the hatch, gets the queen. He's not going to do any damage to these roaches. Those roaches are extremely powerful this time. Yes, he does get the hatch. He's going to run up to the main. He needs to buy time. Behind this, his own Roach Warren is about to finish. But 16 lings and +1 attack for viOLet are about to complete. viOLet is going to have a very powerful counterattack coming, and it's all about if Jaedong can hold it off or not, because it's a pseudo all-in at this point. Yeah, I mean, he lost that hatchery, so it's definitely, you know, viOLet is in a position where he kind of has to do damage here. Oh, he's building drones behind it. That's weird to me. I guess he's just thinking he needs to do. He's going to do a lot of damage with this, but rebuild the hatchery. Jaedong's got roaches coming out. He only has one Spinecrawler, so I don't think he's taking this maybe as serious as he needs to, but we'll see. No, I think Jaedong might have too much. Like, those queens have a ridiculous amount of energy. He can transfuse all day long. viOLet going to charge with the natural expansion. Spinecrawler just now finishing up, and some drones might be lost, but Jaedong certainly isn't going to die. And remember, viOLet, his economic situation is very dire. So this is a situation where viOLet has to do a lot of damage, but Jaedong, he's going to be able to hold this pretty easily. Yeah, and it's really interesting because off the back of this, like I said, viOLet has actually been droning pretty heavily. And his army right now, as it stands, I believe, is that one dying roach just returning home. He did take the gold base. He's got a couple lings. Oh, my bad. Yeah, a couple of Zerglings as well. Jaedong is also droning behind this, so he might gradually inform himself that a gold base has been taken, and that's got to be a catalyst for action, because if there was a way for viOLet to come back into this, it would be Jaedong ignoring the fact that there is a gold base being taken and he just drones too heavily. That being said, though, that's a pretty big if. Jaedong's already showing up here, and it looks like he wants to see what the situation is. Yeah, you know, there's no natural. Roach is even going to charge up into the main base, and viOLet pretty much needs a miracle at this point. He is pretty far behind, guys. 75 to 48 in supply, 41 to 24 in harvesters. He might lose his queen. And the Overlord, I believe, of Jaedong outside that gold base does spot it. So Jaedong takes his own gold base as well. And as you can see, the supply differential has really just grown here. And as such, yes, for right now, viOLet has the bigger standing army. He's going to go saturate that gold, but the big story here is the big difference in supply. And we actually even have a layer about to complete for Jaedong as well. So he is behind an attack upgrade, which is nice for viOLet. And viOLet does have the gold, and it's saturated right now. But is it enough to make up this big of a difference? I don't know. You know, viOLet's, he's certainly behind right now. And it's interesting when you consider the build orders these guys did in the beginning. I feel like if viOLet had made his roaches literally about 5 to 7 seconds before he did, he would have had sufficient roaches to preserve that natural expansion. I could be wrong in saying that, but it felt like a very close window that Jaedong was able to exploit there with the influx of those slowlings, and it worked out for him. And now Jaedong, again, he's in a great position, up 93 to 64, even taking out an Overlord. Probably gonna get a couple Overlords here, absolutely. And Jaedong is just, I guess, playing very patient right now. You'll notice the energy on the queens is stacking up. They're not too preoccupied with dropping a lot of creep tumors. Creep tumors in this matchup are nice because they'll get you around faster, but they're not imperative like they are in ZVT or ZVP. Instead, he'd rather have the transfuses. And I can see with this kind of creep highway, as it were, with the Overlords, He's looking to hit a bit of a timing here, and it's actually going to be viOLet that just jumps in the face of this. But viOLet, you're a bit of a chihuahua, I feel like, and you're attacking the bulldog.
Chihuahuas can be pretty vicious.
They can be.
But in this case, not so much. He's going to have to back up. He's got some queens here with some energy. Going to transfuse one time. I mean, he has an upgrade advantage right now, but just not enough sustenance in this army. So Jaedong.
No, yeah, it's not enough. viOLet had an insurmountable disadvantage.
Yeah.
And he did what he could.
He did.
I like the gold. I like him kind of amassing roaches, maybe hoping to catch Jaedong where in unawares, but it's not enough. Jaedong takes that first game in the best of 5, 1-0.
And that's pretty interesting to me because it's not a game where we saw the ultimate skill of both players as it went along. It was a situation where they both came into game 1 with a build order in mind, and they both executed the builds. And it just so happened that Jaedong's build, for the timing he was looking for, it hit literally just before viOLet's build was kicking in. So a little bit of unlucky in that regard, but Jaedong's still able to make that build work, able to hide it. That's a very important thing.
Hide it, but also it was interesting because I felt like his target priority was, it was dangerous at first. He kind of went after the hatchery, he kind of went after the queen, he separated some to go after the roaches, but what he was doing was zoning out the hatchery so he could get a full surround and have enough time to kill it. If he doesn't kill that hatchery, that is a failed attack from Jaedong for the most part. Roaches are just so powerful against slow lings in particular. But he was able to get the hatchery. He did get the queen. And yes, roaches popped out, but those are slow roaches too. So they took forever to get across the map.
Yeah, they did. And Jaedong had a perfect defense. He had 3 queens there with a bunch of energy and had a spine caller in place as well, and roaches on the way. So Jaedong dealing with that perfectly. He's going to take the 1-0 advantage, and I want to show this poster now. Yay! So you guys have been drawing stuff. Here we go. What does it say? Every 60 seconds, a Baneling commits suicide. Help stop the abuse. Call 1-800-LOVE-BANE. Yes. PSA by Kellen McPhail.